I'm Shelby Leonard-Watt. I operate SOS Save Our Souls, a women's shoe, clothing, and accessory boutique in downtown Peterborough, Ontario. We've been operating this store for 14 years. We also have a streetwear door, which is going into its 21st year, and a men's shop with a bar and a barber, newly open in its 3rd year. We are retailers who love the brick and mortar experience. Online was only a necessity, not a passion. We set up our online shop for SOS 10 years ago, but it had mainly functioned as a landing page for our customers. The analytics showed that our customers would go to our website first, check out what we had, and then come in and shop. Now what we're seeing is that they're buying online from us first and then coming in to pick up and probably keep shopping a little bit. And of course, we ship internationally. So this has been an interesting shift to watch. But as mentioned, our website had already been in place. So that helped with the foundation of this growth. And this is the growth I'm going to speak on. Growth that happened during a global pandemic. I definitely did not set out to grow our online. That was never my intent. My intent during the shutdown of our shops was to keep the proverbial doors open that we were forced to close for 100 days. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would have grown our online 33 times over what we did last year in only 2 months. I also never thought we'd be delivering online orders, or that we'd be recruiting friends and family, or having customers offer to help make all of this happen. But here we were at the height of a global pandemic. But if you know me and happen to follow my Instagram, you'll know that I always want to keep it real. So by saying we had an increase of over 1,300% of last year's sales also means our online wasn't a priority. We are brick and mortar. We love brick and mortar. I love our customers. I call them our soulmates. I'm a buyer at heart. I want to be with product and people, not computers. But during the shutdown, this is what we were forced to take on. We were forced to sit and assess our business and figured out how we were going to persevere and accept the challenge ahead of us. So that you know, the we in this is my partner in life and business, Mike. Without him, none of this would have been possible. We had to divide and conquer our house and businesses. We have 3 young kids at home, an 8-year-old, 5-year-old twins. Our life is crazy enough without a global pandemic going on. And this was one of the strangest times in the history of our 20 years in retail. And really just the strangest times in our history. I think we can just all agree on that. So when I was asked to give a talk on the subject, I wasn't even sure what I had done. So my joke was going to be this. I was asked to speak on the subject of social media, retail, and perseverance. How did I do it? Growth during a pandemic, pivoting during COVID. How did I do it all? Hard work. Thank you. Good night. But seriously, I think what was recognized is my grit, my good looks, my charm, my great sense of humor. I'm humble. But seriously, I think what really was happening is that entrepreneurial spirit, that entrepreneurial mindset that was in play. And when you're operating in your zone of, let's say, genius, or passion, we can just go with passion. When you're operating in your zone of passion, you don't even know how you do it. You just do. So with pen, paper, and wine in hand, I sat down to figure out what had been at play. And I came up with a framework that I like to refer to as the 3 pillars of online strategic growth, because these were the elements that were at play during this time. We had the foundation in place, and then the 3 pillars helped support this growth. These factors were already in practice. Now it was time to kick them into play. I'm going to break down each one and talk about them one by one. But before I do that, I want to stress that these elements, these pillars, were already in place. None of this happened overnight. This was not a safety net for us during this time. This was not an emergency plan. This can't be your emergency plan. These are key elements that you need to have in place for your online and your social to grow. I'm going to draw a diagram because I think that will help. So, as I mentioned, family, soulmates, customers, friends, family, everything. So, that's connected to mindset, which I've already touched on. And then we have technology. Absolutely crucial during that time. And then my favorite subject, I almost wrote me, showing up. Showing up was absolutely crucial. So you can see how the three elements all come into play. It's all connected, all connected. So you see here, this is what helped carry SOS through and help us persevere during a challenging time. But now I'm going to touch on the three key elements. And I'm going to start with mindset. I like to call it mind over panic attacks. Because we know as entrepreneurs, mindset plays a large role in our ability to get up every day and do what we do. Mostly because we wouldn't know what else to do if we weren't working on our passion. But you need to have the grit, perseverance, and resilience to not only do it, but to know that it's going to be okay. Because you don't have any other choice. You have to figure it out. You have to make it okay. So, mindset. As mentioned, it's so much more than just knowing you have to put in hard work and having the determination it takes. Yes, it's all of those things. But I realized the game changer for me during these days of closure was when I woke up, I knew I had to give so much more. I had to switch gears. I couldn't be sitting around in track pants and crying. I mean, yeah, of course that happened in the beginning, but then came the time to put on proper pants and put on a bra and get down to business. Because business doesn't take care of itself. It's when you realize that you have skin in the game and quitting is not an option. The key was to keep moving forward. I truly believe we undervalue momentum. This was not the time to stop. This was the time to move with intent. So, the first hurdle I had to overcome and shift my mindset was to ask, are people even buying right now? And the answer was yes. Yes, people still needed, wanted, and were looking for retail therapy. So it was okay to sell. And to have the mindset that if they didn't want to buy, they didn't have to. That was fine. But I couldn't stop doing what I do, which is to offer retail therapy. Since it felt like a difficult balance of still showing up, but not wanting to be annoying, I had to work through that and still show up in their inboxes and make an offer my soulmates might want, but also be sensitive to the fact that some people might not be in a position to buy. So, this is what I told myself and how I shifted my mindset. I said, don't be annoying. It's pretty simple actually, but it's often lost when it comes to sales. So I needed to offer them something that they might want. And I had to figure out what that was, and they could accept the offer or not. So once I figured out what they wanted or what I thought they wanted, I then had to deliver. I had to hit it hard with an offer that was going to be difficult to ignore. Which leads me to the other aspect of mindset, which is your gut. You need to trust your gut. You need to trust your gut in order to keep moving forward. Yes, people were still buying. I knew this. Yes, I had something they wanted, so I thought. But it was still time for us to spend money. But not everyone would agree with that. No, it might end up in a mini domestic if your husband is the finance guy for the business. Yeah. So, this is how it went. We had inventory in rompers. This is the problem I thought I was solving for my soulmates, comfort. I went to our website, I offered a small discount, and I sold out of the existing inventory. Next, our spring shipment was about to arrive. So, not only did I accept it, I tripled it. This did not go over very well. No. No. With the stress of everything else that was going on, and I was spending money that we didn't even have coming in at this point, it was not well received, to say the least. No. But I knew my gut was right. I knew this was a risk worth taking. And part of being a successful entrepreneur and having the mindset is risk assessment and having a level of comfort to take these risks. Was the risk worth getting a divorce? But I also knew my audience wanted it. So I was prepared to roll the dice. The other thing I wasn't afraid to do during this time, obviously, was to spend money. I spent money on Facebook ads, Instagram ads. They were cheap because other people weren't spending money on them. But people were on their computers and the ROI could not be ignored. So again, the technology part ties in. I spent money on Facebook ads. This was not the time to be afraid to sell. I figured that out. But it was the time to be heard and to be present in front of your customers. You had to create and get creative, take risks and try new things. But that doesn't mean it always worked. One idea I had was to hire local tattoo artists to create a sticker that it was a reverse image, so you could place it on the outside of a window of the people that you might be visiting during these times. It said, thinking of you. It read, thinking of you. It was gorgeous. It was this woman's hand holding a bouquet of flowers. I probably gave away more than we sold of just the stickers. But also part of my idea was to incorporate these flowers with mugs that we sell at SOS. So it'd kind of be like that FTD flower boutique idea. So it was Mother's Day. We'd have the flower stickers, mugs, bath bombs. And the idea bombed. I think I sold one. But I couldn't let that stop me from moving forward. I had to create again. I had to show up again for my customers with another offer. This time around, I decided to come up with a campaign called Who Cares What Time It Is? And I sold watches for half off. I just had to keep coming up with ideas. Another idea I've been working on back in January was essentially a subscription box without the subscription. It was a box that was going to be curated by me. It's called the Mood Box, and it represents the 4 seasons and the mood of it. All items were from SOS, had the SOS feeling, and I was so excited to launch this idea, and it was to launch in March. So I thought to myself, shit, this is dead in the water. What am I going to do? I had already purchased the items for the box. I was so excited. I couldn't wait to share it, but now I was scared. I knew I had to trust my gut, and my gut was telling me to move forward with the idea, but I was still worried as to how it would be received. But I thought people are still craving connection in retail therapy. So I turned to video, my tech of choice, and I let my customers know what I had done and the reasons behind it. And again, if they chose to purchase it, great. If not, that was cool too. But I decided to pull the trigger and launch the Mood Box, and it sold out in 3 minutes. I provided value by leading with a service that was sincere. My audience was never out of sight. They were always the forefront of my mind and asking myself daily, what could I offer them? So for part 2, the SOB I call technology. It's going to get you in the back end every time. It hates me. I hate it. It is mutual, but I have to take it on. I have to embrace it. And the thing is, so many of these platforms are free or have a free trial. So there's no excuse not to be on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, whatever it might be. We just have to embrace it, even though it hates me. So I've been working on our Instagram for 12 years. A few years ago, Mike insisted I should try video, get outside of my comfort zone, and push beyond doing simple posts. He thought the chaos of my life as a working mom and entrepreneur would be relatable, and if not relatable, then just funny. So I decided to take on video and push outside my comfort zone. But that's not the only way I embraced technology. I also focused on the traditional use, such as emails. So 2 years ago, I made myself a promise that I would grow our list. Because as mentioned, so many of these platforms are free, but here's the thing. You don't own any of them. So if they were to disappear tomorrow, how are you communicating with your audience? You have to have a list that you own. So BC, before Corona, I would write newsletters, maybe once a month, not often. But during the closure, I probably popped into people's inboxes once a week. It was necessary. We know that an offer with a newsletter in an email has a greater ROI than a Facebook or Instagram offer. It was crucial to stay in front and in their inboxes while still trying to not be annoying. I was trying to figure out how to solve a problem for my customers, because that, as an entrepreneur, we need to ask ourselves daily. So I stayed in front of them with Facebook and Instagram and other forms of tech. I knew I had to take it on, even if it makes me feel sick to my stomach because I'm going to mess it up. Because here's the thing, you will. You'll screw it up. You'll screw up tech time and time again. I messed up the mood box link. I was beyond excited, like barf in my mouth excited to launch what I had created. And I effed it up. I grabbed the link from the back end. I copied it from my admin page and pasted it in the newsletter so it wasn't live when it went out to everybody. I could have cried, but I fixed it and it still sold out in 3 minutes. The thing is, being an entrepreneur, you know you're going to make mistakes, but you have to just roll with them. So I learned from my mistakes to keep moving forward. So I went back for more punishment and I took on SMS marketing. I created a campaign for text messaging to better communicate with my soulmates, because email is great, but there is still the air of it going in a junk box into the abyss to, like, who knows what happens to emails, but they disappear. So I needed to figure out a better way to stay in touch with them. So I took on text messaging. I set up a link on our website so they could drop their digits in, and then I could communicate with them. And the whole time I thought I was just messing around in one of these free platforms that I was speaking of. I didn't realize I had actually launched the campaign. Yeah, no, again, back end screwed me. Somehow I made this campaign live. But here's the thing. I made $500 from launching the campaign, and had I not even taken it on, and had I not even tried to push myself out of my comfort zone and have the mindset to be prepared to fail and still move forward, that never would have happened. I never would have figured it out. So we need technology to stay in front of our audience, even if it's to do a simple video, just to connect, to say, how are you? What's going on? I made myself a promise during those days, during lockdown, that I would show up for my soulmates every day. Even if I went on video to cry, to tell them I was drinking too much wine, eating too much ice cream, that I was scared, that I was freaking out, that I was having a panic attack, that I was elated over a product I was about to launch. They were priority for me. My customers and my soulmates were always my priority. Which brings me to my third point, showing up. And what does that mean? For me, it's connecting with my audience via Instagram. I share my life as a working mom, an entrepreneur. I share new arrivals from the shop, how to style an outfit. I show up as my authentic self daily, which for me means an unfiltered hot mess that is sometimes crushing life and other times being crushed by it. It's never glossy, but it's always real. And here's the neat thing about showing up. It's the easiest part of all of this. Once you realize your business isn't about you, but it's about them, your customers, showing up for them is the easy part. There's no guesswork in it. You can bank on that. We know as buyers that we need to meet customers' needs. And we also know a lot of it is a guessing game. We base decisions on our market, price points, climate, seasonal changes, maybe colors, styles, wants, desires. It really is all a guessing game. And we all have demons in the stockroom to prove that. But we need to try and tune into their needs and always ask the question, what problem am I solving for them? So I asked myself this question, and it was never about the end result. It was always about showing up for them and letting them know I was there, either with a deal, an exclusive offer, a pre-sale on a limited run of goods, or even just to share a funny story to make somebody's day better. I let them know I was thinking of them all the time, and I was there for them. So let's circle back to Ronkergate. When I asked myself, what problem am I solving for my soulmates? It was comfort. I knew that most of us tend to turn to food, drink, and or both when stressed. And no one wanted to squeeze into the waistband and shove that quarantine 19 into places it didn't need to get shoved. So I went into the shop at the height of COVID in April, looking as though I was prepared to perform a full examination, gloves, mask, anxiety high, and I was on our inventory. And I found what I was looking for: rompers and slippers. These two items became the focus of our website. We sold out of both items when I featured them in a newsletter and then on our site. I offered my soulmates a discount on items because my gut told me this is what they wanted. I knew how I could show up for them. We sold out overnight, and then I ordered 3 times more and almost got divorced. But here's the thing. I knew it was a calculated risk that was worth taking. These times were about audience attention, not revenue extraction. Let me repeat that, because that became my mantra. Those times were about audience attention, not revenue extraction. I wasn't trying to push inventory out the door to make $1, to sell 4-inch heels or a bodycon dress. I dialed into their needs, I focused on their wants, and I nurtured my audience, and I provided value. But here's the key. I've been showing up for my audience daily. Be it with a flash sale or a funny story or a new arrival, whatever it may be, I was there for them, and I still am here for them. I probably show up for them more than I do my husband and children. And here's the thing, my soulmates know that. So when I'm coming to them with an offer or an idea or a story, they know it's always going to be from a place of honesty and authenticity. We've built trust with one another. And during those challenging times, they knew I had their best interest at heart. And I knew the same was for me. They were there. This is a relationship. We needed to be there for one another. I went to IG daily. I showed up as myself. I created content like I'd never created before. I made my husband dress up like John Lennon, and I dressed up like Yoko. I moved our entire bedroom set around and staged a Be Kind, Stay Home campaign based off their famous peace protest photo. I did whatever it took to let them know I was still there and having a laugh and lightening the situation. I would do coffee on the couch where I would discuss how to get your day going during lockdown, how to stay motivated, how to move forward, and even just ask the question, how are you? A few years ago, I created Wine in the Closet, where I would hide from my kids and drink wine and vent about the stresses of motherhood. I spent a lot of time in that closet during lockdown, but I stayed in front of my audience. This was not the time to curl up and cry, or do that and get on with it. Put on some bright pink lipstick and show up. I didn't hide my struggles. I took them head on. I know what got me here in the past was not going to get me where I needed to be. This was the time to show up, be in front, and lead. Because our customers, our audience, they've been showing up for us all of these years. So as mentioned, when I was asked to give a talk on the subject of perseverance through a pandemic, I really wasn't sure what I had done. I knew our website had gone off, as had most everybody's websites increased. I didn't know what we did different from what we do most days, which is offer customer service that goes above and beyond. If it was deliveries, we delivered. A soulmate needed a birthday card, handwritten, delivered to somebody she couldn't get to. I wrote that and I dropped it off. You needed somebody to do a silly song and dance because they were feeling the heaviness of the world. I'm your girl. So to answer my question, what did I do? It was more than hard work. I thought in the beginning that's all I did. But really what it comes down to is we need to take on things that make us uncomfortable, like technology, doing videos, social media, reaching out, being vulnerable. It's having the mindset every day to say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do the best I can do, especially when your brick and mortar doors are closed, or you have 3 young wild children running around home, or perhaps your husband is trying to develop 2 websites for the other shops that weren't online, and we're all just trying to function in somewhat of a sober manner until at least 4 p.m. But my mindset pushed me into action every day. I would wake up and I would turn to Mike and I would say, okay, it's game day. Let's do this. And I meant it, because I knew that's what was required. It felt like we were operating in the first year of our business. No staff, no money, long 10-hour days, 7 days a week, run ragged, being creative and failing and trying, and all just trying to make it happen. But this is what I've learned, the difference between our first year and our 20th year of the experience of all of this. Is when you start out in your first business, it's hard and there's long hours and there's so many decisions and so many uncertainties. But the beauty of having done this for so long is I knew the grit I needed to dig down and force myself to keep going. I knew what the long hours felt like. I knew what sacrifices needed to be made. I knew my children and husband would be fine if I ignored them for long stretches of time, and I will apologize later in life. I knew I was going to make mistakes, and being okay with making those mistakes, because you figure out that you can recover. And that's what drives you forward. That's the priority, is to move forward. Be there for my soulmates. I knew that the long hours and the sweat and the tears that I was going to put in, there would be a reward. If all of these elements are in place, and perseverance is really just a part of this game, the game we've all been playing all along as entrepreneurs, really none of it's in vain when you have skin in the game. Thank you.